See, there's something else Trump has exposed when you're not looking at it, this whole thing from an emotional perspective. See, he exposed that dependence create weakness. See, and Black America must confront how dependent we have become politically, economically, culturally, and institutionally because Pharaoh has let us go.
This is the Publisher's Desk with Damon K. Jones, brought to you by Black Westchester Magazine.
Peace and blessings, everybody. This is Damon K. Jones here, and welcome to another edition of the Publisher's Desk, powered by Black Westchester Magazine and blackwestchester.com. You could go to blackwestchester.com and get the latest e-paper. If you do not live in the Westchester, New York, Bronx, or Southern Connecticut area, you could get the e-paper. It's the news with the Black point of view. And today, brothers and sisters, we want to talk about, or actually, I want to ask the question. What if the biggest geopolitical shift happening in America right now is also exposing something Black America has ignored for decades? What if the real story is not about Donald Trump, it's not about China, it's not about Russia, it's not about tariffs, or even global trade? What if the moment is forcing Black America to finally confront a dangerous political habit? Emotional loyalty without strategic outcomes. Because whether people love Trump or hate him, one thing is clear. He has changed the geopolitical conversation by forcing America to ask one question. What are we exactly getting from these arrangements? And Black America needs to ask the exact same question, and instead of being distracted by everything else. See, for decades, America operated under a global system built around globalization, free trade, foreign intervention, and international cooperation. Politicians told Americans this system will create stability and prosperity. But eventually, brothers and sisters, the outcomes told another story. Factories left America. Manufacturing jobs disappeared. Industrial cities declined. China became a superpower, and America became dependent on foreign supply. And as always, Black America felt it harder. But nobody wants to admit it. Not our Black leaders, not our Black politicians. See, the Black middle class in many northern and industrial cities were heavily tied to manufacturing, union labor, transportation, municipal work, industrial production, and blue-collar industries that once provide stable wages without requiring elite college degrees. Those factory jobs helped Black families buy homes, raise children, build neighborhoods, support churches, create an economy in cities like Detroit, Chicago, Cleveland, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, and even parts of New York. When those factories left, entire Black communities lost economic foundations. And here's the uncomfortable part. Many political leaders avoid this discussion. Most factories did not leave primarily because of racism. They left because of global economic policies, brothers and sisters. Corporations move productions overseas for cheaper labor, weaker regulations, and higher profits. Under the same globalization policies, both political parties largely supported for decades. The trade agreements and economic policies many Black voters constantly support politically often accelerated the outsourcing and weakened the very industrial base many Black families depended on economically. That does not mean that racism disappeared. Absolutely not. It means economic policy still matters regardless of race. A factory closing in Detroit, Baltimore, Cleveland did not only hurt white working class communities, it devastated Black working class communities. The difference is many conversations about globalization, brothers and sisters, focus almost entirely on racial symbolism while ignoring the economic consequences reshaping Black neighborhoods underneath the surface. Then Donald Trump entered politics and he publicly questioned the entire structure. Now, let me make it clear. This ain't support for Donald Trump. This show right here, so we can have a clear understanding of geopolitical politics and how it has affected Black communities. Instead of listening to some of these pastors and these cosplaying Black leaders that it is all about racism. No, it's about policy under Democrats and Republicans. But what happened with Trump? He asked, why is America protecting the world while weakening economically at home? Why are trade deals benefiting multinational corporations while working class communities collapse? Why allies dependent on American protection while America absorbs the growing cost? Again, this is not a defense. Two things can be true at the same time. He could be a racist, but he also could be asking correct economic policy for America. Now let's flip that to Black America. For decades, Black Americans have overwhelmingly supported one political party, rates to 85 to 95% in many elections. We have marched, rallied, we've organized, we protested, we campaigned, we ran around, saved democracy repeatedly. But here's the uncomfortable question, Black folks. What measurable leverage did Black America build from that loyalty? One of the reasons Trump has disrupted American politics is because he approached geopolitical politics as transactional instead of emotional. He treated alliances, trade agreements, and foreign policy like negotiations. Now compare it to Black politics. Too often, Black America approaches politics emotionally instead of strategically. We vote based on fear, history, symbolism, personality, and rhetoric instead of measurable outcomes. Outcomes matter. So look at the Black communities across America. High crime, declining schools, rising houses, poor health outcomes, failing literacy rates, low business ownership, gentrification. That does not mean Republicans automatically have the answer. Absolutely not. It means blind loyalty without leverage produces weak negotiation power. Politics is not church, brothers and sisters. Politics is negotiation for your interests. Every other group in America understands this. Farmers negotiate, unions negotiate, immigrant groups negotiate, corporate lobbyists negotiate, all producing nations negotiate. Are often told that simply asking for measurable returns is somehow divisive, disloyal, and if you listen to Roland Martin, it's even anti-Black. That is political weakness disguised as morality. Now, what did Trump expose in his geopolitical stance? Now, I know a lot of y'all get triggered when you hear Trump. But you can't be emotional when you're talking policy. You can't be emotional when you're talking geopolitical structure and negotiations. Trump geopolitical strategy was built around leverage. I'm flying the plane. I'm trying to land the plane. Just give me a moment, and I'm going to land this plane, and y'all going to understand what I'm talking about before you get emotionally caught up in Trump. See, tariffs were leverage. Energy dominance was leverage. Trade negotiations were leverage. Border enforcement was leverage. Manufacturing was leverage. Whether people agreed with the tactics or not, the mindset was strategic. America should maximize its bargaining position. Now, what's the lesson for Black America? They need to learn the same lesson. So here's the question you should ask your Black politician, your cost-playing Black leaders. Why hasn't Black America fully used its leverage? Huh? Why haven't we? Black America control roughly $2.6 trillion in annual consumer spending power. Don't listen to AOC talking about they're trying to get rid of you. What smart, intelligent people would get rid of a group of people that spend, that consume more money than the GDP of Mexico? Black people spend, we buy. We buy a whole bunch of bullshit, and we buy more than the GDP of Mexico. We spend more money consuming Gucci bag, Louis, Nikes, Jordans, Adidas, whatever you want to call it, clothes, cars, than Mexico spends to operate. And despite that power, brothers and sisters, Black America has never used its economic influence collectively or strategically to negotiate long-term benefits for Black communities. We spend an enormous amount of money every year, but very little of that spending is tied to demands for ownership, manufacturing, investment, land acquisition, banking power, educational outcome, or institutional development inside Black America. Other groups use economic leverage as strategy. Other ethnic groups do. The Jewish people do. The Italian people do. The Asian people do. And they build economic ecosystems within their community. But too often, see, Black America, we spend emotionally instead of strategically. We mobilize our votes emotionally. We mobilize our outrage emotionally. But we rarely mobilize our consumer power economically with long-term industrial goals, with long-term institutional goals attached to it. That's one of the biggest lessons hidden inside the geopolitical shift that's happening right now. The future will not belong to groups that simply consume. I'm going to say that again, Black folks. The future does not belong to groups that simply consume. It will belong to groups that produce and they organize their leverage. The future will not belong to most emotional voting blocs. It will belong to the most organized, economically disciplined, and strategic aligned voting bloc. Because the world is moving toward economic nationalism, AI competition, manufacturing control, and energy politics. Symbolic representation from the Black community is going to give us absolutely no leverage. And that creates both a danger, but it also creates an opportunity for Black America. The geopolitical shift happening right now is exposing a reality that nations with leverage are the nations that produce. China produces, Russia controls energy, Saudi Arabia controls oil, America controls military, financial, and consumer power. Now ask yourself, what does Black America control economically? See, this is the conversation many political leaders, Black leaders avoid because it requires accountability instead of slogans. Real power comes from land ownership, manufacturing, energy, food production, technology, business formation, trade skills, financial institutions, and organized voting power. Do you know, brothers and sisters, that today Black America owns less land than they did before 1960? We own less land. At the peak of Black ownership in land, in the early 1900s, Black America owned somewhere between 15 million to 19 million acres of farmland in the United States. Today, it's only estimated 2 to 5 million. That's a 90% decline in land ownership. With all our education, with all our Negro degrees, with all our Mercedes Benzes and all this other stuff, we have dropped a 90% in land ownership. That is amazing. And we could blame racism, but we're spending more money than we did before, but we're not buying land. So how can we be competitive if we don't have the tools in the toolbox to create power? As I said, real power comes from land ownership. See, there's something else Trump has exposed when you're not looking at it, this whole thing from an emotional perspective. See, he exposed that dependence create weakness. See, and Black America must confront how dependent we have become politically, economically, culturally, and institutionally because Pharaoh has let us go. Now, brothers and sisters, ironically, the geopolitical shift could become an opportunity for Black America if we stop reacting emotionally and start thinking strategically. Why? Because America is entering an era where domestic manufacturing matters again, trade skills matters again, energy infrastructure matters again, industrial development matters again, local economic power matters again. That means Black America has an opportunity to reposition itself. Imagine if Black America focused on owning land, entering construction, HVAC, electrical work, manufacturing, AI training, cybersecurity, energy jobs, transportation, logistics, food production, and cooperative economics. Stop talking like slaves and say, well, the unions will never hire us. We got an economy of $2.6 trillion. We just hire ourselves. Imagine if Black political organizations negotiated votes based on local economic outcomes instead of party loyalty. That would completely change the political landscape. The bigger lesson is from Trump's geopolitical disruption and not about loving or hating him. Like I said before, and I'm going to have to say it throughout the video because Negroes going to run around and say, yo, you supporting Trump. No. I'm examining what he's doing. And I'm showing Black America what we should be doing. This ain't about Trump. This is about policies. This is about negotiation. And this is about respecting what we bring to the table. See, all the things they're talking about, the Supreme Court ruling, districting, blah, blah, this, blah, blah, blah. We wouldn't have to worry about that if we was changing how we deal with politics. We only have to worry about that because we don't have the tools in the toolbox like every other ethnic group. You don't hear the Asians talking about districting. You don't hear the Italians talking about it. Huh? You don't hear the Indians talking about it. All you hear is Black folks because we don't have the same tools in our toolbox that they have in their toolbox. You know, we got to begin to ask the question, brothers and sisters, how are we going to continue to remain politically weak? How are we going to continue to do that? And not understand that economics work alongside political power. See, no group can demand long-term respect while bringing little strategic leverage to the negotiating table. That's why we don't get no respect. because we don't bring nothing to the table. You see the white folks have their millionaires that fund their agenda. Look, all the millionaires. Where are our black ones? What are they doing? See, because most of our millionaires are not independent of the white structure. So they can't make independent choices politically. Yeah, it's nice they give to HBCUs and they do all that's great. That's great. And they could drop 3 million, 300 million into white-led organizations like the NBA to be partners, not owners, but to be partners in the NBA, NFL, and all that. That's great. But when you start talking being independent politically, they tell you not to do that. And you know, and these Negroes know better not to do it. But the white people, their rich people put $100 billion or 100 million. They put $100 million in a campaign because they understand power and money fuels the political structure. Power and money get outcomes for your interests, not Black America. So now, right now, we're going to face our own truth. Will we continue practicing emotional politics while our communities decline and allow our politicians to blame everything but ourselves? Or will we finally begin thinking strategically about economics, ownership, leverage, negotiation, and outcomes? Because the new world that's emerging, leverage matters more than loyalty. And the group that understands this are the ones that's going to shape the future. So if we want to shape our future in America, Black America must understand the leverage power we have, and they got to understand that we have to begin to use it. So if you like what you heard, please like, share. If you disagree, leave a comment. Once a week, I go through all my comments, and I respond to everybody. Once a week. And thank you for watching. Thank you for taking the time to watch. Please go to blackwestchester.com, get the e-paper, and check out our articles on the website. We are a real newspaper. We are a real newspaper. So the new edition is out. And if you're not in the Westchester, Bronx, Southern Connecticut area, you could just go online and you could download the e-paper.
Follow Damon K. Jones on YouTube.
Stay safe.
And stay connected
blessed,
to empowering conversations that challenge the mind, strengthen the spirit, and uplift the community. Subscribe to Black Westchester YouTube and at Damon Jones on YouTube for powerful content on life, culture, community, faith, politics, health, and truth that makes you think for yourself. From the publisher's desk to Think for Yourself Fridays, the Sunday Rundown, and Meatless Mondays. This is more than content. It's a movement focused on growth, wisdom, accountability, and empowerment. Real conversations, real solutions, real growth. Stay connected, stay informed, stay empowered. It's going to be Blacktastic. We appreciate you taking the time to engage with real conversations, real issues, and real perspectives that matter to Black America. Stay connected, stay informed, and as always, we'll see you next time at the publisher's desk. It's going to be Blacktastic. If you're serious about political clarity and independent thinking, this is for you. The Political Thought Bundle includes 3 full books, all personally singling. Democrats and Republicans, the Ultimate Gangbangers, breaks down how the two-party system operates like a legalized street war for power. Emotional Politics, Logical Failure exposes how emotion has replaced strategy in Black political engagement. Tolerance is for Cowards lays out a blueprint for extended policing and community-led public safety rooted in outcomes rather than slogans. 3 signed books. One bundle, $60. That's a $75 value, and you're getting signed copies included. This isn't left versus right. It's results versus rhetoric. Go to twosteppublishing.com and secure your signed Political Thought Bundle today. It's going to be Blacktastic. For more than a century, Black America built its own economy under segregation, under discrimination, and under conditions most people today cannot imagine. We built businesses, we built banks, we bought land and property. In the Forgotten Blueprint, Damon K. Jones reveals how Black communities created thriving economic systems from 1800 to 1965 and why that blueprint still matters today. This book challenges the idea that our future depends on politics alone and shows how ownership, family, and enterprise once powered Black prosperity. The blueprint is not lost. We just stopped using it. The Forgotten Blueprint, how Black America built its own economy from 1800 to 1965. On sale now at Two Step Publishing and Amazon. Westchester magazine has been giving our community a voice, reporting the stories others ignore, holding power accountable, and making sure the truth about our communities is told by us. But independent Black media only survives when the community supports it. If you believe in real journalism, community accountability, and keeping Black voices strong in local news, we need your help. Your donation helps us continue covering the stories that matter: politics, education, justice, and economic empowerment right here in Westchester. Support Black media, support Black truth, support Black Westchester magazine. Donate today and help keep Black media alive. Because Black-owned independent media is Blacktastic. Black Westchester magazine presents People Before Politics, the Sunday Rundown, every Sunday at 6 p.m. on YouTube. Join Damon K. Jones, AJ Woodson, and Larnez Kinsey as they break down the biggest stories in politics, culture, and community from a Black point of view. No spin, no party loyalty, just logic, accountability, and outcomes. If it impacts Black America, we're talking about it. Tap in, subscribe, set your reminder. This Sunday at 6 p.m. is going to be Blacktastic.
This is the Publisher's Desk with Damon K. Jones, brought to you by Black Westchester Magazine, where life, culture, community, and faith meet truth, power, and purpose.